Hello, welcome to the Q&R Code podcast with Quinn and Riley. I am going to jump right in by saying Riley and I are feeling the need to bundle up today. We are both chilly little billies, so have a cozy episode vibe with us. Maybe throw on a scarf. I would like to start with this grievance. I had one of the instances today where Riley sent us a photo into our family group chat, a very sweet photo, which was great, and I loved seeing the photo, but I saw a sweater that I was wearing that I was like, okay, I love that sweater. Where is it? And then I started to gaslight myself and be like, oh, maybe the situation is that my mom's sweater or Riley's sweater, and I just loved it so much, being like, oh, I want it, it's mine. And then I texted Riley and I texted my mom, and they were both like, no, maybe ask mom, no, maybe ask Riley. And I'm like, no, it's mine. And that just re-sparked in my mind missing that sweater. And I'm sure that some of the listeners can relate to this having happened, that you just remember a clothing item that you love, that you're like, where is that? Where in the world would that be? And it just gave me one of those sick to my stomach feelings, where obviously that is not the most important thing, but I do really care about keeping good track of my stuff. And I'm just like racking my brain, being like, where is that? And how long has it been since I've seen that? Because I haven't had that all this winter season. I love the fit of that sweater. I love the color of that sweater. It makes me feel so confident and so soft. And so I'm just having one of those moments, feeling a little stress in the back of my mind, being let down about not having kept track of that.
However, that tends to be one of those things where it will come up. It's annoying right now, but I bet you'll be like pulling out something from your closet, a pile or whatever, and it's just like fallen back or one of those things, because I don't think that you left it anywhere. Where would it be, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, but I hope that that's the case. I really do. But it's not something like jewelry that can be left in such a tiny pouch that it's like, oh my gosh, there's just who knows where it is. I feel like I have even my stuff that is in piles that is not put away where it should be. I feel like I have a pretty good finger on the pulse of what is there. And I don't know where this sweater is. And I already this morning did the multiple of those quick checks, and I can't find it. And I'm hoping that it turns up, because I really want that.
Well, wishing you the best. I don't have anything really add or new to add to this conversation, so it will be very brief, but just want to acknowledge that the Super Bowl halftime show was really good. When I say really good, it was a pretty incredible show. Dare I say the best that I can remember witnessing. And Kendrick on his own did an incredible job, but then when SZA came out, especially her, that's it.
Nice. I haven't watched it, so I have seen a few clips on the internet and it seemed incredible, but I have not sought out watching the whole thing, so I will have to. I don't know the SZA reference, but I believe anything she does is pretty incredible, so I believe you.
Okay, yeah, you should watch it. I obviously didn't watch the game. I just pulled it up on YouTube, the halftime show, and it's very worthwhile.
Anywho, did you enjoy your Super Bowl food that you guys made? Or did you not because you were sick?
Yeah, I was sick for over a week in a really bad way, so it might not have been middle schmerz, guys. It might have just been illness. Not sure. So I didn't get to enjoy it day of. However, we had leftovers, and so thankfully I finally turned a corner and got to try some of the stuff that I had prepared, because I did want to make stuff, and like earlier in the day I was like, maybe I will feel good enough to eat this, and then it was a no-go. But I made a delicious celery salad because I wanted to do something, still on theme when you're having wings, and you might have like celery veggie sticks to go with it, but a little glammed up, and like chopped up a bunch of celery, cucumber, etc. Just like a big crunchy chopped salad with like a creamy dill dressing, a bunch of fresh dill, Greek yogurt, lemon juice, that vibe, and it was really tasty. So that was nice. And Brayden smoked some wings, and I made a homemade blue cheese dip, which was very, very delicious. Much better than a blue cheese dressing you would get in a jar naturally.
Yeah, I really enjoyed making. You inspired me to make our own blue cheese dressing, and I was calling it blue cheese sauce. I don't know where that came from, but I realized like even on my Instagram I posted blue cheese sauce. I'm like, who cares? But I do feel that it's usually called blue cheese dip or dressing. But that was really yummy. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm sorry about my one tiny little claw poking out of my sweater, but my hand is freezing cold and I need my sweater covering it. Like, I'm getting the feeling of it is literally so cold inside that it feels like when you're outside and your hands like are slowly moving, you're having to like bring your fingertips into your palm to start feeling something again. So I have to be able to hold the mic, so I'm protecting myself. Anyhow, Riley and I did watch the Traitors, Riley in, separately in our own separate residencies, in lieu of the Super Bowl, and we are just absolutely loving that. This season, I feel like it's like us hopping on the last season of Love Island US that I had missed like so many seasons. I've barely seen any seasons of Love Island. I think I've seen 3 full seasons, maybe like 2.5. And I am so glad that I jumped on that one. That was such good, fun TV. And that's how I feel about The Traitors this season. And I haven't watched the other seasons. Well, actually, Sean and I finished all of the episodes that are currently out of this season. And then we did decide to try the season previous. But I think, didn't even get through the full episode. And it just didn't catch us quite as much. So we haven't continued watching. Because now we're sitting here waiting for Thursdays to come, because now it's only one releasing a week every Thursday, and we are just on the edge of our seats waiting because it's so fun and so good, such a good cast, and I love that. I'm glad I heard about it. I'm glad I jumped on this train because it's so fun when you're watching something that you're like, this is actually so exciting and fun and funny and a slay. I love Alan Cummings, the host, and all of his little fashion moments and everything. Sean clocked that he was from Spy Kids, which I was like, where do I know this person from? And Sean, of all people who can never, not good with names, not great with placing people, and I was like, that is exactly, he's Fogel or whatever his name is.
Also knew he was from Spy Kids, and let's just make sure we put some respect on Alan Cumming with no S on the end. And okay. I was saying to Brayden, he was like, who is he from? And I said Spy Kids, and Brayden was like, I don't know if I really watch Spy Kids. Okay.
Wow.
That's crazy. Brayden hasn't seen a lot of the movies that we watched growing up because he also watched a lot of stuff we didn't watch, and it is kind of a red flag that his household, like specifically I think with his dad's, were Adam Sandler family, like, he loves all the Adam Sandler movies, and I don't know. I don't need to go down the rabbit hole of that very much, but I'm just so much more ready to watch a Will Ferrell movie. And we did watch Kicking and Screaming the other night for nostalgia, and it was fun and good. I'm getting off track though. If you're not watching, or if you're not caught up on Traitors season 3, this is a bit of a spoiler, but the last episode that it ended on so far, with the raining maggots and cockroaches upon them, I just have to say, I did not think that as many people were going to survive that challenge as did everyone, except for Chriselle, who gave up right away, made it. I'm like, wow, you guys, honestly, credit where credit is due, because yes, you can mind over matter, but I think that it would be fairly challenging if there were maggots falling down your bra and cockroaches crawling in your hair to
and just
let
the
that
amount
happen.
of dust, like there was so much like insect dust and everything that, yeah, that would, thank goodness, like they had to give them goggles. If they hadn't have provided goggles, that would have been so actually messed up. But there's so many things I thought about with that. Like, imagine the girlies with their little lip gloss on, that it's just like stuff pouring onto their face, and you know they have their pouty little lips, that just getting all that stuff caught. No, that, I was like, good on you guys. I'm also frankly surprised, because it, maybe I just don't have the right idea about what kind of money these people have and are making. Clearly some are different than others. Some of them have more money than others. Like, it seems like that it was adding $2,500. I mean, hey, I take $2,500 seriously, but I was surprised as many people took it as seriously for what the consequence of that was as they did. So I'm like, major props to you guys.
Me too. And why am I forgetting his name right now? But the guy that was like talking his partner through it, that was clearly so
Boston Rob.
Yeah, Boston Rob. I was like, wow, you were actually being a really good friend, trying to
No,
just like
I saw
distract, calm her down.
I saw a TikTok of him doing that, and it was like, okay, daddy, we hear you. Yes,
but yeah,
that was very, very good, and I just think that was a lot of bravery shown. Also, that was the most I ever liked Tom Sandoval of the show, that I was like, okay, you're being actually pretty funny.
Yes. I have seen Tom Sandoval in something, not because of Vanderpump Rules, but because of Special Forces, and it is one of those times where I'm like, I kind of feel bad for you, because I always feel bad for the like universally disliked person, but
Yeah.
he just is so annoying that on that show as well as on this show, everyone's like, Tom, stop, and just gets so annoyed by him. And then somehow he wins people over. I don't know. He's an interesting character, but especially since the scandal of it all, I'm like, regardless of making a mistake, like cheating, not to just be like, oh, that was a mistake, but doing something that is dishonest and egregious, I obviously never want someone to just feel mercilessly bullied by the world and absolutely torn to shreds. But then I'm also like, clearly he's fine. He's going on and doing these other shows, and like, it didn't destroy his life. So, but I bet it felt like it really destroyed his life, and I never relish in that.
I don't relish in that, and also, yes, I don't think death threats and whatever, because I'm also like, oh, all you people with death threats, really none of you have ever cheated, because I know some who I think are in general good people that have cheated. That always shocks me and makes me feel like, dang, but you know, I'm sure it's crazy to think that at the Q&R code there would be any cheaters listening, but I'm sure there are. And I don't think you deserve to die. I think you made a mistake that hopefully you have owned that it's a mistake. But after watching this season of Love Island and knowing Ariana, we're tight. I'm just so surprised. I'm like, that's who you were with? It just surprises me. Like, not because he's not cute, but just his vibe. I'm like, clearly I just don't know him in that way at all. But sometimes it's just hard for me. I'm like, just doesn't strike me as that right couple. Alan did come in and roast him when he was the line that, of course, I'm not going to be able to like repeat and do justice, but him being like, oh, so you're afraid of knowing how betrayal feels or whatever, and just slayed.
Yeah, that is a show recommendation for sure. Other updates, yes, I've been sick, but luckily from my couch I can see our bird feeder, and I absolutely love how many birds come through, especially the beautiful cardinals. But I'm not so great at identifying birds, and we have talked previously about that being something I want to strengthen. So I have my little like Birds of North America field guide book that I brought over by the couch to be referencing, and
so sweet, thinking it was from our grandparents too, that was our little grandma and grandpa's book that they loved.
Yeah, that was their bird book. Not that easy though. I'm like, they're on the feeder and this is a thick book I'm trying to flip through. I don't know how to like narrow down which category to be looking in, because I'm like, that's the whole point, is I don't know what type of bird this is. So far, not really mastering my species identification, but I do feel like it is the effort that counts, and I will learn.
Yeah. Also, that's the thing, is the more you're doing little flip throughs, you'll just become more familiar, and the more you're looking at birds, you'll start to go. Like, that's how I used to feel so intimidated. Well, I still in so many ways do, but with like gardening and flowers, that I'm like, how does my mom know? My mom's like, oh, that's that. Like, we've gone anywhere and I ask her about any flower and she's like, this is that. I'm like, how? Literally how? It blows my mind. How do you know this? But now I will be like, that is a blank, and the more you know, you just keep learning, which is so fun. If you can't tell, we love learning. That is such a richness in life. Like, it literally makes me so excited learning stuff about that. And I love watching the birds too. I have two thoughts. First of all, did I ever share with the podcast about Lucifer catching the woodpecker?
I think so, but don't really remember. You can give a synopsis.
My cat, Lucifer, went outside. I opened the door, didn't even know she was there. I was on my way outside to take out the trash, and she ran through with a ginormous bird in her mouth, and it was one of our most beautiful woodpeckers. There are different types, and of course, I am remiss. I'm sorry, you guys. I am having a little just chilly, cold girl day, runny nose. But they are beautiful. They're more gray with spots, like really beautiful black spots, and then the underside of their wings and tail is neon orange. So beautiful. And she comes and she runs away from me in the house with this beautiful bird in her mouth by its wing. Like, its wing is splayed open and she has it by the shoulder. And I was able to tackle my cat and catch her. And we got the bird out of her mouth and took the bird to a wildlife sanctuary. And unfortunately, we did get the news that the bird did have to be humanely euthanized, which I'm so sad about, because I was really hoping that I had caught it in time, and that is such a hard thing. Riley and I were talking about the fact that birds get preyed on by house cats makes me so sad. And thankfully, that's the first bird that Lucifer has ever caught. And I don't want it to keep happening. Okay, there's that story. Next, my mom, who is such the sweetest little angel that loves to spoil Riley and I, we were talking to her. I mean, we've just been talking to her a lot about cooking. If you guys don't remember, our mom, Allie, is just a woman that does it all. She is so talented. She's so chic, smart, talented, well-rounded, a great cook, a masterful hostess, a beautiful interior designer. And we recently watched we meaning Sean and I recently watched the Martha Stewart documentary, Martha, that came out on Netflix. And I was talking to my mom about it, and we were just talking about how inspiring Martha Stewart was for a more than one generation of women. And she sent Riley and I Martha Stewart's new cookbook, which is her 100th book published. Wow, that's crazy. And she gifted us Martha Stewart's cooking school book for Valentine's Day. So Riley and I are very excited, and the reason this came up for me was thinking of the garden and the flowers and the birds. I just think it's so exciting to have something, especially a book like this. I totally think online resources are obviously at your fingertips and magnificent, and I love Googling stuff online. I do so many searches a day. But it just feels so nice to have something to refer to. For me, I learned so well out of something physical that I can open the pages and refer back to. So I'm so excited to get to use these cookbooks and do a little deep dive in Martha Stewart's cooking school.
Yeah, I'm so excited as well. And just having a physical reference guide is different because you can just be in a moment like, oh, wait, let me check on that because I know that she talks specifically about like poaching fish or whatever, and look at the table of contents and go there. And I feel like on the internet you can find that information, but sometimes you're paralyzed for choice. And also I like that I'm not just wanting to like have everything be like, oh, why would I? It sounds a little crazy to me to be like, why would I buy a book because I have the internet? It's like, I mean, because it's amazing to have a book. Also, this book is serious. When that package showed up, and my mom was like, yeah, there's something coming, just so we knew there was a package on the way. When I lifted that up, I was like, oh my gosh, like strained my back. I did not, I was not expecting that. Opening it up, this thing is a serious volume. It has like 500
it's like a textbook.
pages. Yes, it's a textbook.
But way more beautiful.
Yeah, full culinary school within a book, which I'm really excited about.
I'm so excited.
Quinn and I both would love to like go to culinary school and actually learn all this stuff, but we can be empowered home cooks, learn as much as we can, and who's to ever say in the future. I would also love if we just like went when we were on a trip or whatever and did a local cooking class.
Yeah, I have so many big ideas about stuff like that in life. I really want to do a cooking class. That would be such a cute Valentine's date night idea, or any date night. We should do that. And that's the type of thing where I'm like, I want to live with my sister, because how fun would it be for us together to be going through this cookbook? But when we are together in person in Charlottesville soon, we will have to go through some stuff together.
Brayden and I recently were actually going to do not going to, but looking into a what's it called, cooking class date night, and it was like $200 a person, and we think that is fair enough for their knowledge and time and materials and meal or whatever. But we were like, wow, that's just not really within our budget for a date night at the moment, so we'll keep our eyes out. And there, I'm sure, are other possibilities out there, but I just think that, yeah, we're gonna be trying some things at home, so stay tuned. I'm prepared for some failures, though. Looking through this cookbook, I was like, okay, Martha, I know that you pop off. Some of these seem a little advanced for a little old me. However, how else will I learn? Let's just dive right in.
Exactly. And it really is amazing when you take a chance what life shows you and what it opens up because, of course, there may be flops. There most certainly may be flops. But you, it is such a this is such a typical hope core thing to say, but you really do always take something away. And that is just exciting. Our like our elders before us would say, the biggest actions you learn from are mistakes, not from your triumphs. So we just have to, that is really a 2025 mission for myself, is to truly embrace, I would almost nearly say celebrate mistakes. There are mistakes that are not worth celebrating if it is something like a true wrongdoing. But the little mistakes in life that are just inevitable and happen by being vulnerable and trying something and putting yourself out there, I am just really embodying, hey, what was that? A learning opportunity. Goes much beyond just a failure.
As they say, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
And we might sound cheesy right now, and I don't care because it is true. And I also think in 2025, maybe we're going back out of cheesiness being something that's cringeworthy. I think we're back on, we've almost, or at least it's a trend prediction of mine, that we are nearly past the phase of it being oh gosh, you sound so cringe, so cheesy. And now being no, but that stuff is true. And you do miss 100% of the things you don't try. So.
Also, you can always, at any point in your life, learn new things. However, we are certainly poised in a particularly good time in our life because I'm listen, this is the time that this makes sense. Oh, you've never made a souffle before? Yeah, obviously. Who in college is doing these things? Obviously some people, but it's very normal. And so right now I feel like we're out there ahead of the curve if we're getting into some of these things. We're going to be hosting things that our peers will say, wow, how did you know how to do that? And we'll say, because we tried and we failed, then we succeeded.
Exactly. And I think it's chic to learn at any age. Are you kidding me? To be 70 and be I am making my first souffle. Okay, there's not a cooler thing that a 70-year-old could say. That to me is so cool. I love that. My grandpa has taken up yodeling, and I'm
I'm just cracking up about you talking about what's chic right now, and you are literally bundled up to the gills as if you're 70, freezing cold in your own home.
I seriously am, and I have been looking at myself in the monitor going, wow, this isn't exactly what I would ideally pair in a perfect world, but guess what? I can't find the gray sweater that I would have ideally paired. And one thing I have to say about this sweater that I really don't like is the two-tone situation. I wish it was just gray, not heathered of dark, nearly black. It is black. It's black and gray. And
I kind of like it.
Do you like it with
me.
Do you like it with the snow leopard print?
That honestly ties it in for me.
Okay, so you're making fun of me.
It's just funny because you're so bundled up to the gills.
I'm freezing cold.
I know, but if you want to talk about freezing cold, I know nobody likes to hear about other people's ailments. That's not true. There are plenty of people that do. But it's not that fun for someone to talk about when they're sick. I just need you to know that this was like the craziest chills fever cycle I've ever been in, where when I was getting the chills, I was so cold, I was convulsing. Like, it wasn't shivering like it was uncontrollable. My entire insides were like contracting like this. I had a heating pad, would be in like full sweats, blanket, quilt, additional blanket, scarf, hat, shaking, so cold. My nipples have never hurt worse. I was like, I don't know if we're gonna recover from this. It would hurt so much. Like, I was like, God, the agony. And then
That is horrible to hear.
And then it would be like, okay, they would subside. I would like layer by layer peel off the blankets until sure enough, then the sweatshirt, and then I'm so hot, just sweating, can't help it. And it was just like that for days. Couldn't sleep because of the chills. At first I was definitely like, wow, I would way rather have the chills part than the hot because I hate being overheated and sweating. But with how hard I was shivering, how sore my abs and insides were, and like it would cramp up my neck and back and everything so much too, I was like, no, this is worse. But
So
anyway.
sad. I'm so sorry you went through that. People have been really having really terrible bouts of the flu and COVID this winter, and I just feel horribly for anyone going through that. And I have been scared because you and Mom are both currently sick right now, and I have just been losing sleep. I've been having terrible sleep, and it makes me, I'm having moments of such fear about what that means for my immune system and not wanting to go through what you guys are going through, and being like, the negative mindset is only going to hurt you. I am thinking positively. I am being abundant. Take my vitamins. Drink my tea. Anyway, we should move on to something more interesting for you guys.
Yeah, we should. It might be past Valentine's Day, but that does not mean that love is not still in the air. And we wanted to talk about how we have had so many formative experiences of love in our lives that I do believe that it has led to our general disposition about living, that even though sometimes there can be a lot of signs that we are living in a hellscape and things are very bleak, that overall this life is about those experiences of love, and we do get to choose the experiences that we prioritize. As always, Quinn and I are not advocating for toxic positivity and to pretend like nothing bad has ever happened and ignore traumas that need to be addressed or the very real atrocities going on in the world. However, I think that a lot of us already have a fairly strong negativity bias, and we don't really need to practice acknowledging the bad things. That is usually coming up plenty enough, and that you can remember those really great experiences. There's a Sturgill Simpson song from his most recent album that I have talked about many times, loving on this podcast, and it has a lyric that's like, how I wish that happiness left scars too. And I'm like, that just really rings true for me, because so many times what we remember are those scars and those things that really weigh heavy on us. And we don't have the scars for the good things and the things that didn't hurt. So you kind of have to be the one that like brands those into your memory and make those be like your core values, memories, how you define your life. That's your choice. So that's just kind of the little peek into our thinking for the rest of the episode.
I so get this feeling of overwhelming love and excitement and just happiness and giggles with it sounds hopefully not broy, but like exercise. And specifically, I'm thinking of recently our time as a family all together getting to be on the beach where, as we told you, we were playing so much frisbee and volleyball and just running in the sand and like throwing the football and moving your body. And I love that feeling with friends and loved ones so much, because you just get giggly and excited and things get silly and you're like moving so much that it makes your heart is pounding, so you're having so much good like good chemicals just naturally released. But I love the feeling of when it starts to just get so silly, giggly, and excited, and you are just like exhausted, happy. And that reminds me so much of the childhood feeling that I so loved the summers, because summer nights staying out late outside playing on our lawn, I love that memory so much, as the light is fading, but it's actually, you're still playing out until 9 o'clock or whatever, and us getting to play with our siblings and getting so exhausted and doing cartwheels and like literally throwing the ball or running around the yard. And I feel like that's such a special childhood feeling and memory that I love can be so easily translated into adulthood. And that is the one thing I will give men about sports, is I get it with that. That doesn't mean I get watching football every Sunday, but I get it, because if that's your source of fun, you should just do it. But for me, it's the actual engaging in the sport and activity that it makes a lot of sense to me that men do that when, as we know historically, speaking, the men's relationships with each other can often be a little bit shallow and lacking the depth of vulnerability and deep conversation and maybe deep understanding of each other. But I think that that's a way that they can kind of access that with each other, is through being like playful and playing a game together.
So true. Also, describing like playing as kids in the summer, it was just reminding me very much of the full sensory experience where you were hot from running around and playing all day, but when the sun starts to go down and the grass starts getting cool and you're like, ooh, the cool grass on my feet, and the air is like starting to get the evening chill in the summertime, and it's so nostalgic. Also, on the note of movement, a memory that I was thinking of was growing up dancing. Obviously, there are so many memories from that, but I just remember this one particular time where we were going, like, doing partnered up dances, and Quinn and I were partners, of course. They're like, okay, the twins always pick each other, and we're like, Sorry, but we would have so much fun creating with each other. And this one, like, little dance that we were putting together that then you were having to, like, show people going across the floor, I remember just feeling like, wow, not only is this so legendary and Quinn and I are killing it, but we just so felt like no inhibitions with each other to whatever, try things or be weird or have that physical contact. And I will say, with my dancer friends in general, I think a lot of us just like cultivated that in that environment where you like get comfortable with each other bodily. But I would just felt like such a deep love in my heart for you in that moment and always, but just being like, wow, yeah, we really, I just never feel judged and we have fun and we're getting to move our bodies, explore in this way, and just always feeling like I will be supported by Quinn literally physically and emotionally no matter what. And that, of course, is like my deepest core, like, truth that is so lucky to have, that I'm like, this is someone that I know I just have absolute trust with and total freedom. And I actually can't even imagine in a world in which anything would separate that. Like, when, you know, sometimes there are siblings that split apart or there's trust broken there or whatever, I'm like, I so know that that is just not a reality for us, that if something like that did happen, I would fully actually like believe in simulation theory and be like, okay, like, I don't know, go so nihilistic because that just would shatter my full worldview.
Like when I very specifically remember the first time I had a nightmare about Riley turning on me and that she actually was planted in my life as an evil twin. And I was like 12 or something, and I just had this terrible dream about Riley just turning on me and that she had just played it so well, fully manipulated me into thinking we truly were best, closest friends, soulmates, and then it was just a very just turn her against me, and I was like, I actually would hate life so much. I would be so scared. Like, that is
I
terrible.
also must have sensed that because then, like, that next day, I like did something jokingly to Quinn where she was like backed into a corner and like went like that to like hold her up to a cabinet or something, pretend, and she goes, I had a dream about this. I'm like, girl.
I literally did. I remember, yes, I was literally in the laundry room being like, I'm afraid of you right now.
I know. I was just like so joking about it, and the way she actually looked at me so afraid, I'm like, please.
Oh, yeah. We're so lucky for all of the such special core childhood memories we have. And that's something I've been thinking on a lot, is just the feeling of how truly lucky we are that we get to look back on our childhood with such happy nostalgia. And that being said, that doesn't mean that it was all sunshine and rainbows by any stretch of the imagination, but we are so lucky because there are people out there that their childhood was just so massively impactful in a negative way that just it makes me think of how important it is, obviously, the job of being a parent and really doing everything you can to provide stability and trust and um instill confidence in your kids and just safety, like protecting them. And I really do feel so lucky because I have such a sense of this like gleaming, sparkly, happy nostalgia for childhood that I wish every person had, and everyone deserves that. And it is hard when you're thinking of what people go through, that in times like people that are in war and people that are just innocent civilians, that their lives, of course, right now, like top of mind is people in Gaza, just thinking of children that their life is truly forever changed and forever impacted, no matter when this, if tomorrow it started to be rebuilt and there was stopped the killing and the bombing and everything like that, the amount of trauma that people have been put through, it's just, of course, we want to, at the Q&R Code, bring more good and positivity and good vibes than anything else. But I think that something that's really important to me as a person is continuing to not just sit in the feeling of deep depression all the time, but balancing your life with finding all these moments of joy and being so, so grateful, and having those moments where your gratitude leads you to reflect on what other people are going through. And that's why you have to be so grateful for all of the little tiny small moments, like me posting on my Instagram story. I just posted the other day that there was this beautiful tumbleweed, that how the snow had blown around it, it shaped it perfectly and was just beautiful. Little things like that are so important, I think, to remember how grateful you are to be alive and in, living in a situation that feels comfortable. Like, to truly just feel like you have the stability of a loving family or a loving partner or a roof over your head or having a car, having a job, having food on the table. All of that stuff is so important to just have daily gratitude for.
Absolutely. And I think that, like you said, having like some bad experiences and like traumas, that is very real and needs to be worked through, doesn't mean you have a bad life. And that's even like a lot of takeaways when you read accounts from people that have been through really horrible things. Like Man's Search for Meaning comes to mind, by Viktor Frankl, who was held in Auschwitz, and he talks about that kind of mentality is basically what made the difference in him being able to survive, is like seeing a reason to continue. And I think that, yeah, that's kind of the case for finding the good where it is, because otherwise your life is just going to be bleak. And I don't know how to do like an eloquent segue out of that back into other memories, so I'm just going to leave that there and move on and say that a way that in my childhood I did get to feel so loved, obviously just like having our parents made such a difference, and that does really, I think, inform a kid's worldview and like the lessons that they internalize early on about like, is this a loving world that's safe for me or isn't it? You don't have to have perfect parents, but ours were certainly ones that made it very known how loved we were, and that like we were good kids that deserved to be cared for, regardless of how we performed or if we were always nice or any of those things, even when they want like the best things from us, that wasn't conditional on receiving love from them. And one of the many ways that was like a daily thing for feeling loved for me was dinner time. And not only were we so lucky to have like housing security and food security, but they made dinner time a production every night. I do not know the most people that got to have like something cooked fresh every night with like always a salad and vegetable to go with like the main dish and whatnot, but also like sat at the table and had that time together. And I think that was such a formative thing for all of us.
I think that one practice shaped so much of the relationship of our family. And we have so many people throughout our life that have complimented our family and just said, wow, I can't believe the way you guys are able to talk through issues together, and that the closeness that you have all maintained and everything like that. And I think truly having that every single night, it would be at least an hour long dinner that we would sit around the table and all talk about our day, and in a way that just felt, we knew, I don't know, from day one, early on, we knew we could be really honest and be funny or be silly or sometimes say something stupid. Like I was thinking about that the other day, that we were really quote unquote good kids. I'll speak for Riley and I, where, you know, we were mostly just pretty positive, pretty polite, appropriate, but once in a while, of course, like any other kid, when you're gauging, like I was thinking of a specific instance that there was someone who wronged my family and was a mean meanie that I did not like because of the way they treated people. And I remember in early high school coming home and being like, I walked up so close to behind them that I flat tired them on purpose, boom, in your face. And that my parents always did not encourage to be petty or to be violent or anything like that, but that they would be like, this is a safe space and that is funny for you to tell us. And, you know, that's not really how we want you to be going about life, getting back at people. But I just didn't feel like punished in a way for saying stuff that was a mistake. And my parents are not perfect. Obviously, that should go without saying. But I think they did a really good job of balancing just celebrating who all of us were as individuals and hearing us as kids and taking us seriously and not talking down to us, and us just being able to share so candidly that way at dinner every night. And just really, like, we would always get to the point where you fully finish your meal, the food, everyone is done, your plates are put aside, and you just sit there and keep talking. And that was such important relationship building. Like, we all got to know each other so well from so early in our lives. We had that with each other. And yeah, we didn't realize how unique it was until stepping out in the world, gaining more friends that were like, oh, I can't believe you guys actually do that. And yeah, I so agree, Rye. I love that memory.
Me too. And our group of friends as kids, I think, was just so exceptional. And I think a lot of kids are exceptional, so it's probably not a unique experience, but especially our little girls crew we were so thoughtful with each other and so cute, like always writing each other notes. Like we would give cards to each other for random reasons, not just like a birthday, or bake zucchini bread muffins and bring them into school for the class, or make your friends friendship bracelets, or just give them a call at their house and things like that. And I am cultivating a good group of girlfriends in my adulthood as well, but I am like, I need to channel some of that childhood energy because I just felt so taken care of by these kids. Like it was so nice to have friends that you always felt like you were being considered even when you weren't around, because they're showing up to school being like, I painted you this card or whatever.
Yeah, that is really, really special and sweet. There are just so many funny, quirky things that I remember learning as a kid. I remember when you and I and our friend group discovered Pinterest in middle school, and we were like, game changer. We love this. And I remember when we got like mini Altoids tins, the tiny ones, and filled them up with coconut oil because we were like, you can just straight use coconut oil as chapstick, and just obviously it just melted everywhere and was not chill, but we're like, hey, we did a DIY and that was very fun.
Yeah,
And
the aggressive DIY Pinterest of 2010 was insane.
yes, and so fun. I would say the most harmful thing that came out of it was thinking that you should be making home remedies for your skin with just like harsh, just straight up lemon juice, lavender oil, and brown sugar, and like literally coffee beans, and to scrub your face with that and let it sit on there for, I'm not gonna knock anyone else's thing, but that is not something I would promote to this day.
Literally the best skin of my life, and I'm putting like gelatin across my nose.
That was so funny. That one where we're like doing those nose strips. We didn't even have blackheads at that time. It's so funny.
I know, God. I'm like, it's so funny how young they made it start to feel like our beauty wasn't adequate. Also, that is the reason why I have had to scrub literally thousands of pins off of my Pinterest to try to kind of have a semblance of starting fresh with an account that I enjoy. Because when I looked at, the weddings, the outfit inspo, like anything I pinned, I was willy-nilly too. It wasn't even because I was like really into this stuff. I would just pin everything. Like if it was coming up on my feed, you were going on one of my boards. I was an easy
Our algorithm
candidate.
really knew us. Another thing that I love, I'll say two things. These come as no surprise, but I still feel like they're worthwhile to share, is the feeling of being with horses specifically. Animals in general, yes. I am a horse girl, and the privilege of getting to specifically ride a horse, and that feeling is just so giddy, special, heart-filling. I love that so much, and that all of these things that we're sharing are just really stuff that has made our heart feel full. Just, it's like so full that it's poo, poo, poo. It's like almost beyond capacity. It's almost exploding. And that is how I feel with time with horses. It doesn't have to be horses. for different people. I think what so much of life is about is finding that thing that fills your heart like that for you. Another thing that unlocks such special childhood feelings and that I still love to this day is making art. And I'm lucky that I get to make art for a living, and that's so special. I love that so much, and I love the art form that is tattooing so much. But more specifically for me, stuff that feels more unserious, and I have been really proud of myself for being more consistent at making art that isn't for being tattooed, because I think for me it's such an important practice to also have the levity, the feeling of levity, where it's not so serious of this is a permanent thing, this is for work, this is going on so on forever, but just having something that feels more like a flow state, just doing super fun little sketches that are not important or busting out. I've recently been watercoloring and loving that so much. I think that's such a special feeling of expression, especially when you can try and let go of the outcome if you are not an artist and not maybe a professionally trained artist. I think just letting go and letting yourself create something is so special, and that's something I love about social media. Is I think that for a lot of people, taking photographs and curating their feed, even though some people see that as shallow, and I see where that can happen, but I think a lot of it is self-expression that's really fun to be able to share with your friends and the world.
I agree, and I think that it is a very creative thing to get to do a lot of the times with creating on social media. And I just feel like I could talk about the love in my life forever. I feel that way getting to be in natural bodies of water. I feel it getting to walk my dog, even my very reactive, sometimes difficult dog that makes me not have the easiest walks, but I have such an outpouring of love of being like, wow, you're really just a being with feelings and all these things, and that if, this experience has taught me so much in my 20s of always having been an animal lover, but having what somebody would call a difficult, no quotation marks necessary, actually, he is difficult, but I'm like, wow, just like any person, you do not have to be easy to be good, and your feelings are as real for you as anyone's feelings are for themselves, and I love you so much, and you are experiencing the world in a different way, just like each one of us is. But all that Quinn and I can hope is that you guys are having experiences of love in your life, whether this has been a challenging season for you or a really fruitful one. I hope you find those moments in your day, because I promise it makes things so much easier, and I am out of my slumps so much faster when they inevitably happen, and all those things, to just try not to feed into the this sucks narrative.
Yeah, I so agree. Thank you for joining us. We so appreciate having you guys. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube. Give us a follow if you're interested. We can be found at youtube.com/@theQNRcode. And then following us on our Instagrams as well, at @theQNRcode, Riley Liliestrom, and our last name is spelled Liljestrom, and Quinn Liliestrom. And we cannot wait to talk to you next week. Thanks for the support. Goodbye.